Hey guys, on today's episode of the podcast, I'm talking to Liz Alcarez. Liz is a barista and has a passion for coffee in the service industry. She also loves live music, wine, and is really entrepreneurial. Our conversation in total lasted about an hour and 45 minutes, but unfortunately, about 45 minutes in, I ran into some technical issues. So I decided to just upload the second half of our conversation where I have the full video and audio quality. That's going to be the full episode that you're watching right now. I'll also upload that first 45 minutes as just a second upload. I think it's still worth a watch. We talk a lot about just different ideas for things we'd love to build in the future and go into just hearing about Liz's journey and you know how she's thinking about becoming an entrepreneur and making that jump in the future. So definitely worth checking out. I'm really bummed about losing some footage and audio, but I'm trying to just take it in stride and have a good mentality about it. I think it's just part of the learning process, and video and audio can be confusing, but I'll get better and I'll learn as I go. So anyway, I really hope you enjoy this conversation with Liz Alcarez. Yeah, it was that was weird because it just shut off for like seemingly no reason. I'm plugged into power.
I got scared because I thought I like yanked on
No,
something.
no, definitely not. It was just like my computers had battery problems, so I think something there. But yeah, I don't know.
Hopefully.
Audio video stuff is like a mystery. You know, there's like 1,000 things that can go wrong, but
Oh gosh.
yeah, it's still fun. But so you've read a lot of books about meditation, and yeah, I guess, do you practice meditation regularly or kind of just whenever you're feeling off balance? Or
I don't practice it too regularly. Like it's something that like I should, or that I want to, but I haven't really like dived too deeply into it yet. I feel like it's really hard for me to like sit still and to like shut off thinking. But I do try to, like, I like listening to a lot of like sound, like healing and like frequencies and stuff like that. So like, I'll just be like doing like things throughout my day and I'll be listening to like positive vibration energy and like love frequencies and like that sort of thing. Versus like listening to music. Even when I'm driving, sometimes a lot I'll like drive in silence, or I'll like just listen to like stuff like that to give my mind a break, because I know if I have a full day ahead of me, like I'm going to be overstimulated. I'm going to be like talking to people or like trying to be like engaged, and like I will be hearing like music throughout my day and like that sort of thing. So whatever moments, because I have like a pretty busy life, when I do have time to just like sit and like be with myself, like I'll usually like do it in silence, which like sounds crazy, but I feel like it's good to like give your mind like a little break too from all the noise. So yeah, but not super into meditating, but something I want to get into a little bit more.
yeah, it's hard to carve out that time, I think.
Yeah.
You know, unless it's built in. My meditation is not real meditation. It's going to CrossFit every day. It's like that. I don't know why. That's like my built-in routine thing that I need. I do it after work at 5:30 every day, and it's like, yeah, it's weird, but because you're working out hard, but you also kind of just have time to think a little bit. Like, I mean, not really think necessarily. Like, you're very focused on that activity, and it feels really good.
Yeah.
But I think afterwards you feel more calm because you're like, okay, I did something.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's I don't know, it's meditative in its own way. Yeah,
Totally.
yeah.
And it's a part of like your ritual, like your routine, like, and I think that those things are like very important to have too.
Totally.
And it's time for yourself. That's just for yourself. Like, so, I think that that's really, really important. I think a lot of people, like, especially, like living so like fast paced, like we don't make enough time for ourselves. So it's really like special that you are able to like carve out that time.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, you can regain your like energy, lift your spirits, like, you know, whatever benefits that you gain from it. And then you're taking care of your body physically too, which is really important.
Yeah. You talked about like not wanting to be tied down, starting something and then being tied to a location so you could go kind of travel and do things. Where are some spots that you want to travel to that are in your mind?
I want to, that's oh, there's so many places. I've done like a bit of traveling already, but I want to go more like, I want to go to like Australia and like New Zealand. I want to go to like Ireland. Like I want to go to like just the greenest, like most beautiful places. Like I'm really like, I have such a passion for like nature and like being outside, and I really want to like see what more like the world has to offer, because I have seen some of it and it's like it's just so beautiful. And I think just like escaping from everything and like going somewhere like that would just be so like serene and just such a like great experience, experiencing like different cultures and stuff like that. I also really want to explore more like South American countries and stuff like that. I have, most of my family is from Mexico, and I've been to Mexico and it's beautiful. But my grandpa, he actually retired and now he lives in Costa Rica. So I have him and like his family out there, and and it's like a jungle out there, and it's like the beaches are really beautiful. And like I've never been, but my parents have been, and from what my grandpa will talk about it, like it's so much slower there. Like time moves in Costa Rica and in Mexico too. But there are a lot of places where time moves a lot slower, and where like you're a lot more like present in like what you're doing, and where you just like live like very like simple lives. And there's something like that, just I'm very attracted to like that sort of living. And I really want to go like experience it for myself. And I think being like someone who like, I want to be like immersed in different cultures, like food and drinks and like just people and stuff. Like I want to definitely go there. I want to visit like different like coffee farms too. Like I got to visit some coffee farms in Mexico, which was like really cool. So I want to go to like Costa Rica, like Guatemala, wherever I can go. And I also want to go to like Japan, like really bad. I want to experience both sides. I want to experience the city, and I also want to experience like the nature, and I want to like visit like different mountains and like do that sort of thing. Like I want to, there's just so many places. Yeah. So, but those are like for sure, like top spots.
Definitely. Yeah. Japan's on top of my list. I lived in Korea, but when I was a kid, and I never went to Japan. I don't know why I didn't, but Japan sounds awesome. Like Tokyo, Kyoto.
Yeah. Have you been back to Korea?
No, I lived there in 2 stints. So I lived there for 6 months when I was in 2nd grade, and then I lived there for a year and a half in 5th grade. So like halfway through 7th grade, we moved back. They were short stints. Like my dad was doing manufacturing work, so I grew up in Orange County. My dad was doing manufacturing work there. And so we would move over, and then we would complain about it. So then my dad would be like, okay, fine, go back. And we did it twice. Yeah. One time was like in the middle of the school year. Like we came back for Christmas break, and we were just hanging out in California, and we were complaining about it. And I remember my mom coming into the room being like, yeah, we're going to stay. And I remember that being like, what the heck? You can just do that? Like you can just stay. And but I don't know, I guess it was my parents realizing like it was better for us to have a steady group of friends and things like that. So like they definitely made sacrifices. But yeah, it was hard at the time, but it was a cool experience. And yeah, I'd love to go back. It's kind of a weird experience being in Korea as a Korean, not speaking Korean. Like I went to a foreign school, so everyone spoke English. But yeah, I should learn Korean. Do you speak Spanish?
I speak a little bit of Spanish, and I understand it like pretty like,
so you can get by.
Yeah, totally. But it's one of those things like I wish so badly that I could speak it like fluently. And I get like, I don't blame my mom, but I'm like, you could have taught me more Spanish and stuff. But she was just like, she was super busy and stuff like that. But growing up, we lived in a household that was like very like Spanglish speaking. Like my grandma and my mom would have conversations where like they would be like mid-sentence like switching words from like Spanish to English and stuff like that, which is I thought was always like so funny in a trip. And I try to speak Spanish now, and it's funny because the last time I went to Mexico was in 2020. It was like literally like weeks before the shutdown, everything happened. It was like February, and I was speaking Spanish to like a taxi driver, and he's like, you kind of have an accent that sounds like you're from Chihuahua. And I was like, oh, sick, because that's where my grandma's from. And she's like one of the only people who I've had in my life like speak Spanish to me. So it's cool that I like picked up on like certain ways she says things and like the linguistics and stuff. So, but yeah, it's really cool.
That is cool. Yeah, without even knowing it, like you had some kind of an accent.
Yeah, totally. Cool. So I was like, and I know I have such a Californian accent. Before coming onto this podcast, I was thinking like, I don't want to say the word like so much, and I don't want to do
unavoidable.
All
I say the word. If I had a like counter, it'd be in the hundreds in every episode easily. You know, it's hard not to. Yeah. My stepdad, he has a lot of family in the South, like in like Louisiana and Tennessee and a bunch of other places. And so I've never been, but my little brothers got to go and visit some of like his family and stuff. And they said, one of my brothers was telling me that he was at like a store and he just was like, hey man, what's up? Like, and like trying to ask the guy like some questions about something. And the guy just like looked at him so weird. And he was like, what the heck? And he's like, you're not from here, are you? And it's like, we don't think about it ever because we're always like surrounded by other people who speak the same. Yeah.
But it's not till you go somewhere else where you're just like, oh yeah, like we very much sound like Californians.
Totally. And yeah, I don't know. I think Southern Californians say like, kinda. That's what I've picked up on a lot. And I get feedback from managers on that. Like,
really?
Yeah. They'll say stuff after meetings. I'll present to whatever. And they'll say, you say like a lot. You say a lot to like a debilitating level. And when I listen back to the podcast, I definitely cringe at how many times I say it. And like, it's just part of it. Yeah. But I don't know. There's also, I've seen so many smart people who do that, and it's like you still totally understand what they're saying.
Absolutely.
You still totally understand, like, as long as the I don't know, the content is there. I think little verbal things are tolerable.
Totally.
You know, I don't notice it. Like, we don't notice it in our everyday talk, right?
I haven't,
it's just part of it.
Yeah, I haven't noticed you say it at all either, which is funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's part of it. But yeah, I feel like when you listen back to it, you'll be like, oh my God, I said whatever. But it's just, you know, it's all part of it.
Totally.
Okay. So music, like you on your Instagram, that was like kind of the extent of my research, was just checking out your Instagram, and a lot about coffee, a lot about like photography, which we haven't talked about yet. But then music seems like a big deal in your life.
Yeah. Music is a huge part of my life. Like I was saying earlier, I feel like it's been a fundamental part of my life for like as long as I can remember. And I think I owe it all a lot to my family and to like specifically like my dad. My dad, like I grew up in a family of like musicians, or like my family was somehow like tied into the music world, even if they weren't musicians themselves. Like my grandpa, for example, he was a radio like host for years and years for like a really popular like Spanish station. And so he had like an amazing ear, and he was always like doing like music interviews, and he met like all of these musicians, and he was always going to shows and like that sort of thing. So he grew up in that world and immersed my mom and like my uncles and stuff into like that world very young. My dad, he played music like his whole life. Like he was in like band in school. And then he also played like percussion, and he played bass, and he played like for one of those like late night TV shows, how they have like the bands that will play and stuff. So he did that, and that was really cool. Starting at a very young age, my dad, I just remember for some reason being in the, like when I think about my childhood and like I think about my dad and my brother and stuff, there was a lot of memories of us being like in the car. So my mom and dad, like they are split, and my dad would always come pick us up from my mom's house and drive us back. And they always lived super far from each other. So I remember like being in the car for like, as a kid too, like time feels like it's so much longer. So we'd be in the car for like an hour or so. And the whole time we would just be listening to like just a variety of music that he would be playing for us. And there were a lot of times where he would put something on, and my brother and I would be in the car, and he'd be like, okay, like listen to this, like listen to the way that like the drum pattern is on this song. And like he would do like the counts, and he'd be like, do you hear that? I'd be like, okay. And then he would be like, listen to the way that like this, like the singer like takes breath in between like, you know, when he's like singing this part, like you shouldn't hear too much of that because like that means like blah blah blah. And he would like show us things at such a young age. He taught us like how to like little things, how to like snap on beat, how to like keep beats with like our hands, and like, oh, listen to the guitar solo and the way that the bass, like he would just show us that all the time. We'd be like, okay, Dad, like we want to just jam, like whatever. Yeah. And we were always, and we loved it, like we were listening, but I don't think that I fully like grasped it until I was like a lot older. And then I remember so I listened to like whatever he would put on for us, a lot of like dad rock stuff and oldies and like jazz and like all this stuff, which I still really love. And then when I was like entering high school, I remember starting to like find music for myself, like indie music and stuff that like I like had discovered and that I really liked. And I remember listening to it with headphones. I remember one of my favorite albums of all time is Torches by Foster the People. Like, and Foster the People was my favorite band. But when I was first discovering them, I remember listening to that album like with headphones, and I was like driving around with my mom, and I remember hearing a song, and it felt so different because sometimes we like hear things, but we don't really like listen to things. So I remember like being able to hear like all of the different elements, like, and being able to take like each thing and like being so amazed by like, oh, all of these like different variables are coming together and becoming a song. And it was like mind blowing to me. And I just thought it was so, so cool. And so, when I was, I think 13 or 14, I was 12 turning 13, my dad bought me a bass guitar. So he got me that. And then my older brother, he had already had a guitar and he was like writing music at this time. So we started to like jam together. And then I have twin brothers, and one of them plays drums and the other one plays keyboard. Wow. And then I have my younger brother, the baby, he likes writing, and like he likes rap and like stuff like that. So everyone's into music. Everybody. Yeah. So we would write songs, or we would like do covers of songs and stuff like that. And it was so fun, and it was so like fulfilling. And it was something that I really, really liked. But it's kind of like what you were talking about earlier with sometimes people don't like realize like how talented they are, or, you know, what they can do. I feel like for a long time I was very insecure about like my abilities and like my talents. So I never really like pursued anything more than like it being like a hobby as far as like playing goes. So I just enjoy like liking a song a lot and being like, I'm gonna learn this song on bass and play along to it. So that's like the extent of like my playing goes. But live music is really special. It's like one of my favorite things ever. Like it's very, I feel like euphoric experience to like hear something and then see it live, and then like see it be performed and everything. I've been to so many shows. I probably have seen like well over like 50 or more like artists. Like
that's crazy.
Going to a lot of shows, and then festivals too. So yeah, huge part of my life. Really passionate about music. I like making playlists too. So if you want a playlist, yeah, for sure.
What are some of your favorite concerts that you've been to?
So one of my first concerts ever, I don't count it as my first concert because I used to be like a nanny / like babysitter when I was in high school, and I used to take care of like these group of girls for two different families, and their moms asked me to like accompany them in taking them to like a Taylor Swift concert. Whoa. That was the first concert I've ever been to.
That's a good gig.
Yeah, right. And she was like, I'll pay you. I just need you to like help me like take care of them, because there was going to be like 6 girls running around at the Staples Center. Yeah. But even though I wasn't like a Taylor Swift fan, like I was like, this production is crazy. Oh, yeah. Like the sound is crazy. Swift show. It's amazing. Yeah. Which one did you go to?
Red Tour.
Yes, me too.
You too. Okay. Yeah.
That was crazy. I don't know if you were at the Staples Center.
I was at Staples Center. Maybe we were at the same concert.
Imagine. Yeah. Oh my God. That would be crazy. I think I was like 14 or 15. I was probably like 15 at the time. And
we definitely went to the same concert. Yeah, I mean, we probably did, unless she had multiple shows there. But I broke the bank in high school to take my high school girlfriend.
It was
to
so
Taylor Swift.
expensive.
Yeah,
I remember,
crazy.
and we got like pretty decent seats because the family I would babysit for, like, they could afford it, and they were just like gave me a free ticket just to like go with them.
Probably like a $300 ticket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was so cool, and it was like she utilized like the whole stage, and like she's like, I don't know, I even not as a fan, like you can't help but like not like, or you can't help but appreciate like everything that went into that. So I went to, that was technically my first show. My second show, or like the show that like I bought tickets for, that I waited in line for, and that I saw, was this band called Tudor Cinema Club.
Yeah, Tudor Cinema Club. I love Tudor.
I love Tudor, and they were so good. And I remember just being so happy. I went with my best friend and my brother. And like after the show ended, we were like on this like high of like life. We were just like so happy, and it felt so good. And then we had like post-concert depression. We were just like, I want to go back. And that was really cool. I've seen Foster the People like an embarrassingly amount of times.
Really?
Like I've seen them like 12 times or something crazy. Yeah.
But they're your favorite band.
They're my favorite band. The last time I saw them was in November last year.
Okay.
And they were touring their Torches album, so it was like 10 years. So
Is
it
Torches the Pumped Up Kicks album?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was really cool. I'm like blanking on all the concerts that I've been to. I went to Life is Beautiful, which is a pretty cool festival. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's in Vegas. It's like 3 days. I was able to see like Death Cab for Cutie and like Tyler and Arcade Fire. Oh my gosh.
That's amazing.
I saw Arcade Fire at the Forum, and that was like so rad. They were amazing. And then I've seen Paramore, and like
I'd love to see Paramore.
It's a lot. I'm really grateful. I've been intentional about like I don't mind splurging because it's a great experience.
Yeah.
You know, you could spend like $100 or $200 on like clothes or accessories or something, like whatever, but I feel like it's so worth it to like put it towards like a good experience that you're going to remember forever.
I agree.
So I will like splurge when it comes to concerts. But yeah, so I've been to a lot of shows. I've never been to like Coachella or anything like that. I think that would be a really cool experience, but
yeah,
I don't know how I feel about like camping in the desert and all that stuff. We'll see.
Yeah, that seems like a lot. I've never been to a festival, but the festivals you've been to, you've liked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I've only been to like 2. One was like a day long. The other one was like a weekend. So they were, I think, more of like the chill festivals, because some of them can get like pretty crazy from what I've heard.
Yeah. How was Tyler? I'd love to see Tyler.
Tyler was like just as hype as you would expect him to
Really?
be. And the crowd was really good too. Like the crowd was like super energetic and excited. So I feel like that makes all the difference.
Yeah. How long ago was it that you saw him?
That was 2018.
Okay. So Flower Boy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Igor wasn't out yet. Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
Flower Boy was great. I loved that album.
Flower Boy was so good.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was a lot of shows like that. But yeah, being in the crowd, and I think it's just like an energy thing, like the atmosphere, the environment, like the people. I always meet people at concerts because I'm like such a fangirl that I'm the type of person to go hours early and like wait in line, and you end up meeting just so many people. It's a great way to connect. I've met some of my best friends through like shows and music and stuff. So it's just another like very like universally like appreciated and loved thing. Like music has been and always will be like something like just so like irreplaceable and like beautiful. I was thinking a lot about, this is gonna like dive into a totally different topic.
Do it. Yeah.
It's something that I was thinking about recently, is like we're, especially in the US, like we're headed in a direction where a lot of things like we're beginning to not need a lot of like human interaction or like connection, because everything is like contactless, like, you know, and like drive up and online stuff, and you know, just grab and go, and self checkout, and like social media. Like a lot of people can gain a lot of satisfaction socially from that, and we're becoming more and more like accustomed to like not really needing like face-to-face interaction or like experiences. And I think that there are going to be just few things that are going to be like irreplaceable. And I think that like the experiences that you get, and like this is why I'm so passionate about service in general, like service and like engagement and like giving someone an experience, like when you're serving them is truly like irreplaceable and something that you're not going to be able to get. Like even if like Iron and Kin were like, you just like you have a touch screen, you pick your coffee and you pick it up, like it wouldn't be as successful as a shop as it is now, because a lot of what makes it what it is like the environment and like the people and the connection and stuff like that. And I think that that's truly irreplaceable. And I feel like music is like an art in general, music, art, like those are all things that like a robot's not going to be able to like make a painting that like makes you feel something, or maybe it will, but like just like the connection that we feel to certain things. Like I think that a lot of us will hold on to those things even as like life continues to, and the world continues to like advance and progress and constantly change. And I'm not like resistant towards change. Like I know that like it's kind of bound to happen, but I also still want to hold on to like those things that are like really irreplaceable, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree. That is irreplaceable, the human interaction. And yeah, I think I totally agree with Iron too. Yeah, the coffee of course is great, but it's mostly about, I think, that the environment and like the interaction with you guys. And like, I think it works because of the staff, you know. Mm-hmm. It's like people want to come in and see you, and and then it kind of becomes the water cooler kind of place where people just come and catch up with their friends, and like you're bound to bump into someone, you know, and yeah, it's like that spot. So I agree that human interaction is irreplaceable. And it is interesting how you just named a bunch of things where we're getting rid of interaction, like drive-through and contactless payments and self checkout. It is interesting. We're going more and more into that. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
we're losing some of that human interaction.
It's wild. And we like, I think at our age have been able to like experience both. Like we grew up where before it got so big. But it's crazy to think about like how our kids will live and how like our kids will live and stuff like that. I remember taking an astronomy class, and my professor, she started off the lecture like just asking us about like our futures and stuff like that. And she's just like, I want everyone anonymously to write down like 3 careers that you can see yourself like getting into. Yeah. And so we all did that. And then she had a list on the board. And then she was like, all of the, like, see if like anything that you wrote, like is listed here. And she's just like, these things within the next like 10 years or 15 years can be and will most likely be replaced by like technology and like AI and like robots, and like just will not, like people will not be needed for these jobs, like factory jobs, all these things. And the ones that will all like needed people and that wouldn't be replaced by that were all stuff in like the art and like service and like music realm and like stuff like that. Like, and it was just really interesting to see that, like, you know, like how our future is headed. It was very like eye-opening for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting. One of the companies I've worked at, oh my gosh, that's my new thing. I keep saying it's interesting. I kept hearing myself say that when I was editing last time. Everything's interesting.
Everything is interesting.
Everything is interesting. Yeah, that's a big critique of technology and like artificial intelligence. That someone's calling me. Uh-oh. Is that my phone?
Maybe.
I think
it might be mine, but
oh, no. Yeah, it's not me.
That's okay. I'll call back.
But yeah, that's a big critique of like AI, that it's going to automate, like it's going to get rid of truck driving with self-driving cars and so on and so forth.
That's crazy. I didn't even know that.
It is crazy. Like all of it's going to touch not only like digital things, but also physical things, like manufacturing, so many different kinds of jobs. And it's interesting because that is a bad effect, right? That people will be out of jobs. But then it has happened in the past where, like, you know, the Industrial Revolution and, you know, agriculture, like advances in ag tech have made it so like people don't have to be farmers basically, you know? And so, but it like that has allowed us to flourish and like have more people become doctors and artists and things like that. And it's interesting, like more and more jobs are being picked off, like not just being a farmer and jobs like that, but it's even like there's there's apps now that can look at a picture of someone's skin and tell if it's melanoma like faster or better than a doctor can, a skin doctor can.
What a trip.
It's trippy, right? So it's like even like $500,000 a year jobs are like sometimes being can be done better by a machine. And so it makes you wonder, like, I think part of it will be bad, but also the optimist in me thinks that it will be cool because hopefully the world will be able to allocate money so that it's not just concentrated, which the world, like, we're very bad at, but like hopefully we figure that out so that like people's general quality of life can become better so that they can have more time to work on creative things and create more things. So it's like, it's always
Absolutely.
like that. It's it's with one bad thing comes a good thing. And it's like, yeah, it's interesting. I wonder how that will go. And it seems to have played out that way when we had the Industrial Revolution and agriculture technology improved, that we were able to spread the wealth and people's quality of lives and life expectancies went up. But I don't know. It seems like we're not good at spreading wealth, and that people at the bottom kind of continually get like compressed. So that's beyond my knowledge and understanding, like how to solve that economic problem. But I hope people we have more artists. That'd be cool.
Yeah, but you're totally right. I think that that's a really good way of like looking at it. And you have to be positive about it for sure. And I think we are like the future generations, like we're not like our generation, and I think like future generations, like they aren't like willing to, like, it seems like they're not willing to like just like settle on, like, I feel like we're seeing a lot more like entrepreneurs and like creative minds and people who like want to like help others and like revolutionize and do all of these like great things, which is like really cool because it like kind of goes back to what we were talking about, like structured living and, you know, following timelines and like just like, you know, following a certain path that like a lot of us were never meant to and aren't meant to like live. And I think that like with like the progression of like everything happening in the world, like it will kind of force people to figure something else out rather than just like getting like a mindless like job where they don't have to like utilize their talents or gifts or abilities, you know?
Totally. We talked about music. We talked about the concerts you've been to. Who's someone you're dying to see? You can go to any concert.
You go to any
Not festival
show.
though, like any one person. I guess you could see someone at a festival, but like who's the artist you'd want to see?
So I've seen almost all of my favorite artists and like all my like favorite curtain artists.
That's awesome.
But there are a lot of like bands who are, I guess, like a little bit, I don't want to say old because they're not old, but like older, that are just classic. Like, oh, I grew up listening to them and like, oh, it'd be crazy to see them. Like freaking like System of a Down. Like it would be so sick to see. Or like even like the Foo Fighters or the Chili Peppers. Like those are concerts that are like, I have to see them like at least once. But I would love to see, I want to see Chop Suey live once in my life before. I would love to see
Chop Suey. I actually haven't heard of Chop Suey.
Oh, Chop Suey. Oh, it's a song by System of a Down.
Oh, okay.
It's like it's
wait, is that
the
wow?
No, that one's Disturbed.
Okay.
That's Down with the Sickness. Same realm for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I guess that's telling. Like, I haven't been asked this question, like, who are you dying to see? But the fact that like that band came to mind first is like, okay. I like Avenged Sevenfold. Like, I think all of like the classic, like all stuff I used to listen to that I never got a chance to see. Also, I really want to see My Chemical Romance and like my emo bands. I had tickets to see My Chemical Romance in 2020 and then COVID happened and they rescheduled, but they haven't rescheduled yet. They're like, we're going to reschedule, so just keep your tickets. But so I'm gonna see them eventually. I have the tickets, but whenever they do that. But yeah, that would be really cool.
Do you have any upcoming concerts that you have tickets to or you're planning to go to other than that?
I'm gonna see this band I like called Mild Orange in like next weekend. I'm gonna go see them. And then I have like friends in bands who I'm gonna see and stuff like that. As far as like big concerts, I love right now one of my favorite artists of all time. Her name is Arlo Parks.
Yeah,
I think we talked about her.
We talked about her. Claire, she's opening for Claro.
She's opening for Claro, so I want to see Claro and Arlo Parks. That's in March.
Yeah, I want to go to that.
Yeah, oh my gosh, we should go like for
fun.
sure. Get a group together, like vibe out. It would be sick.
I've been listening to Arlo Parks since you recommended her. She's great.
She's so good.
She's amazing.
I got to see her at the Echo in November or October of last year.
Yeah,
she was amazing. It's so nice. It's so soothing, and she just like writes incredibly. She's a poet first. Like she started writing poetry, and then she became like a songwriter. So a lot like her lyrics are just like so beautiful, and everything's very well composed. So I really, really love her. I want to go see her again. But this time it'll be totally different because the Echo is like this tiny room and it's very personal. And then the next show I'll see her at will be the Greek Theater where it's like, and she's going to blow up. Like, I'm not trying to gatekeep her at all. Like, I'm so happy for her success. Yeah. But she's actually going to be opening up for Harry Styles' tour. And I'm like, that's it.
Game over. Yeah.
She's set for life.
I feel like Claro, you could maybe fly under the radar still a little bit, but Harry Styles, that's mainstream.
Totally. Yeah. Everyone's going to love her, which like she deserves it. But yeah, it'll be cool to be like, oh yeah, I saw her back at the Echo when she was first coming up. So
that's awesome.
For sure.
I know I've gone to some concerts last year. I was telling you I went to go see Joji, who's one of my favorites.
Yes.
And I saw Phoebe Bridgers, who I didn't know about until I went to the concert. She was great. But yeah, I really want to see Claro. Claro's one I'm dying to see.
Yeah.
I've been listening to Bags on repeat. I don't know why. I love that song.
It's so like moody.
So moody. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She's so good.
She's amazing.
It's funny because she kind of talks about not liking those songs, but like how they captured a moment in time that was like her in high school or whatever, her as a kid. But I don't know. Those songs are so, moody or relatable or, I guess it's the like unrequited love she hits on really good. And
totally.
So,
it's funny that like a lot of artists you hear that where like they don't like the song that like everyone like relates to, or they're
Kanye
like
hates Gold Digger.
There's you always hear that like MGMT hates the song Kids, and like
really I didn't know
they
that.
hate playing it because they kind of made it as like, oh, we hate like indie like popular boppy like hit music, so we're gonna make one as like a joke, and then it blew up.
That's so funny.
Flash of the People hates Pumped Up Kicks. Like it always happens like that.
That was their radio song.
That was their radio song. Totally.
The label's like, you got to make one fucking radio song and you'll blow up. Yeah.
And I think that they probably put a lot more heart and soul into like other stuff that doesn't get as much recognition, and they kind of feel indifferent. But I don't know. There's this band. I think this is a funny story. Have you heard of Modest Mouse? They have that song Float On. That's like everyone knows that song. They purposefully will not play Float On at concerts to piss off like all the people who are only there to see Float On. Wow. All the fake fans. I'm like, that would suck, but I mean, I guess like they could do what they want.
Yeah, I know. I saw Casey. I don't know if you know Casey Hill. She's kind of a smaller artist, but she has a song, I think it's called Foreign Fields, and she didn't play it at her show, and everyone was like, what the hell?
Was it a bigger song?
Yeah, it's like her one radio song.
Oh.
And all the rest of it is just like very under the radar music.
Oh, she for sure did that intentionally. She for sure did it.
Yeah. And I was like, wait, hold on. I'm like, when are you going to play Foreign Fields? And she just never played it. And I was kind of disappointed, but it's also like, I get that as an artist, you don't want to be seen as a one trick pony, right?
Totally.
Like if you're in Harry Potter, everyone's like, oh, you're Harry Potter.
You get typecast and all that shit. Yeah.
Yeah. I could get that. That would be kind of a scary thing as an artist, to be known for that one thing. I mean, it's nice because you're on the radar, but then to be like, to have to try and get to that level again, or like with something else, is difficult and may never happen.
And there's all these like expectations placed on you to like make something similar or even better, and then if you can't, or there's always artists who like stick to like one sound, or
people want version 2 of that same thing.
Exactly. And then it's like if you decide to like branch out or try something different, then a lot of times it's not like well received, because it's like, oh, they're trying to be like experimental, or they totally changed their sound or whatever. And it sucks that a lot of times you're expected to like stay in one kind of like bubble. So
totally. Yeah, it's interesting. I think there I go again with that. It's interesting. Some,
Let's start a little tally.
yeah, let's start a tally counter. Some music, most music I listen to, I like immediately. Mm-hmm. Right? Like when I listen to Bags, I liked it immediately. Some of her, like, that's what it's like with most of the music. When I've listened to almost any Frank Ocean song ever, I've liked it immediately. I'm trying to get into music that I have to work to like, you know? Like Clairo's new album. I don't immediately love it. Some of the songs are catchy, but it's just not the teen bops that were on whatever her old album was called, you know?
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. But I like, that's worked on a couple things, but I don't know. It brings me to, it's funny. It's such a subjective thing, like what music you like or what TV shows you like. Like there's so many shows where I just am obsessed with, and I'll go recommend it to a friend, and then it'll just fall flat, and they'll be like, "What is going on?" And I stopped being like, "Hey, like watch this show. Everyone's gonna love it. It's the best show ever." Like I mean, I feel like that, you know. But then I don't know, what people like is so subjective and kind of random. Like it's just, you like what you like. You don't really choose it, you know?
No, totally. It's very, very subjective. And then it's like, if you go into it being like, this is the best thing ever, like everyone's gonna love it, and then someone doesn't, it's disappointing. You're like, what do you mean you don't like it? Like it's a weird thing.
That's true. It has that, like, if you set the bar so high, it almost makes that person want to not like it, you know? I heard that a lot with people with Squid Game. Like people recommended that like through the wazoo, and then when people finally watched it, it was too hyped to where they couldn't enjoy it.
That was me. I was way late to
just
the game,
burnt out,
and then I was just like, I don't like. It didn't feel natural to like start to enjoy it. It was just like, I'm supposed to be enjoying this, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Are you big into TV shows?
Yeah.
What do you watch?
So I was thinking about like how you compared it to like music, and I think that like sometimes we like catchier things because it's almost like it's like easy listening, and you know, it's easy to like catch on and stuff versus stuff that's a little bit like different or more complex, or not complex but like
cerebral.
It's harder to like get into if you're not being intentional. I feel like with TV shows, I don't watch a lot of TV, but I like stuff that's very like real world scenarios and people living their lives, because I think it's easy for me to just like relate to it and to like it, versus stuff that's like very like like more complex for me to understand, or that I just don't get. Like I have a lot of friends who really love like mystery and like true
crime.
Yeah, like true crime or like mystery or like spy stuff or like adventure stuff or superhero stuff, and I'm like, I don't get this, so I think it's hard for me to like enjoy it more. I like one of my favorite shows ever is Master of None. Have you seen it?
NZ is right. I haven't seen it, but I've heard it's great.
It's so good. I think we may have talked about this.
Yeah, I have to watch it. I don't know. I don't remember you recommending it. I'll have to. I'll have to watch it.
It's really good. I really, really like it, and it's just very blunt, like real world shit that happens, and it's so. Sometimes it's almost like painful because you're like, dang, like that. You know, you feel those things for yourself, or you remember when like stuff like that happened to you or whatever. I really like that. I like this show called Love, which is another show that's kind of like that.
I love Love.
I love Love. That's a great show. And then like there's another show called Easy, where it's like every episode is like you follow a different story. But somehow they're like intertwined. Like they like characters will like cross over in different episodes and stuff like that. But it's just, again, like another show about like living life and stuff like that. And then of course I like, you know, what everyone likes, and for good reason, like Breaking Bad. Like I loved Breaking Bad. Like Breaking Bad was incredible.
Great show.
I like a lot of HBO shows. Like there's a show called Vinyl that's so good.
I haven't seen Vinyl. I'll have to check it out.
If you have HBO, you should check it out. It's about like this guy who works for, like, he has his own record label, and it's just showing, and it's set in like the 70s and stuff, so it's just showing like all the stuff he goes through, crazy shit, like throughout his time, like working as the head of a record label, and like stuff he goes through with the artists and like his personal life, and it dives into like drug addiction and just like you know, the shadiness that goes on behind the scenes and just music, like the raunchiness during that era is just so interesting because it's almost like it's like history.
It's like 80s, you said, or
yeah, like 70s. But it's really really good. I really like that show. And then there's this crazy show called The Leftovers.
I love The Leftovers.
Oh my God, you've seen it.
Yeah,
it's intense. Did you finish it?
Margaret Qualley. I was like in love with Margaret Qualley.
She's
and
like,
who's the main guy? He was married to Jen Aniston for a minute. I forget his name.
Yeah. His name is.
That guy's so good looking.
He is. Wait, is his name Jason something?
Let me look him up.
Jason.
Or else it's gonna bother me.
Now it's gonna bother me too.
Okay, what's his name? Justin Thoreau.
Justin Thoreau.
Yeah.
Something with a J.
He's a boss. He's jacked.
That was such a crazy show, and it was such a really unique and interesting like premise of a show, and like just concept was intense. That show was good.
An engineer I worked with at my last company that's his favorite show ever. And he's like, that show made me feel things I didn't think I could feel.
Yeah.
And he's like not the most emotional person. I'm like, dude, that's heavy. Like it totally is, right? It's like, yeah. Okay, any other HBO shows? I'm loving this list you're giving me because some of these things are things I haven't watched, but like I'm an HBO fiend.
I like this show called Girls. That was really good.
I've heard that show's great.
It's great. It's so good. Girls. When I want to watch something that's like more mindless and not as like heavy or intense, I like Curb Your Enthusiasm and like stuff like that. I just recently started watching. I'm so behind, but I've heard great things, and it's one of my dad's favorite shows of all time. So he's been trying to get me to watch it forever. But I watched the first like 3 episodes, and I'm hooked. Sopranos. Sopranos is so good. I don't know if you've seen it.
I haven't gotten into it now, but I heard it's great.
So
and you got a lot of material.
Yeah.
Sopranos and The Wire are on my list, and I haven't watched either of them.
I've also heard a lot of great things about The Wire. So yeah, I love TV and I like film a lot. So it's one of those things like I never have like time to watch it. A lot of times like I don't get to just like sit and like watch and be present and enjoy. Like I'll be like folding laundry or I'll be like organizing stuff and just like have something on in the background. So I have like my shows for that, like New Girl and like you know, fun stuff to listen to mindlessly. But when I want to like sit down and watch something and have more of like a movie experience, like I feel like those are all really good shows. But yeah, you should for sure watch Final and Girls. Okay. Yeah.
I'll check them out.
Oh, and Master of None. Do Master of None. Okay. Yeah, that one's a little bit easier.
Okay. Yeah, the HBO stuff is awesome. I watched a bunch of HBO stuff this year. White Lotus was one that was really interesting.
I've heard of it, but I don't know what it's about.
They like go to this hotel and people die, and it's just this. I don't know. It's just like a typical dark HBO drama, but it's really good. And then what else? My favorite show is True Detective. That's my favorite show of all time. That's an HBO show. Yeah. That one is. It's true. I mean, it's not true crime in that it's like real crime. It's fiction, but I like how it mixes the real world with like I don't know. I guess like elements of fiction or elements of religion and elements of just like different things. It's just so interesting. Yeah, that show I think a lot of people have a hard time getting into. Like they call it slow burn, but for some reason, just the aesthetics of that show and the music that they chose and
it just sounds very well rounded.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That's the only show I've watched multiple times. I've seen it I think 6 or 7 times. And
wow.
Yeah, I hate rewatching shows, but that show.
I feel that.
I just have to rewatch it every once in a while because it's like when I was watching it, I just remember thinking the whole time, how is it this good? Like how does this exist? It's that good, you know? Like it just blows my mind that like someone pulled that off. I'm like, holy shit. There's just certain things in it, and it's made me appreciate. Some of my friends went to film school, and like I usually don't notice like cinematography shit and you know lighting and angles and whatever, but there's just a lot of amazing camera work that's done. And like one scene where Matthew McConaughey's like in LA and he's not in LA. He's I think they're in Louisiana, but he's like basically in a gang house and like helping them to do some, I don't know, some deal. And he's basically trying to escape this insane gang war. And he's running through all these houses and he's ducking and diving and so on and so forth. And it's just one shot. So it's like one camera like following him out of a house and like onto another street. So it's like one shot, one take, and yeah, it just blew my mind. I remember watching that and like I wouldn't know how to critique cinematography, but that just like blew my mind. And so
That's awesome.
stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool show.
They do that intentionally because that will make you feel something. You're like right there in it with him, you know? Like
Yeah.
that's so sick.
Yeah, I was imagining like how hard it was for them to shoot that. Like it must have just been a guy holding a heavy ass camera just sprinting for his life like the whole time, and like he was like, shout out to that guy. That must have been he took one for the team that day.
For real.
But,
that's so awesome.
yeah, I love TV shows. That would be like maybe my dream job someday, is to make TV shows, like to be a producer, or like work on screenwriting. It's interesting. My boss, she's a product manager, but she's also like getting into screenwriting. And so it's cool to see. Like, I think like we talked about before, like it's good to have your brain in two different realms, I think, you know,
Yeah.
like something kind of analytical and something more art related, like left brain, right brain type of thing. I always forget which is which.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're like, it's cool that you have so many interests and like so many different things and like so many like things you can see yourself like doing, because you can like do it all. I think that's like, that's also like along the lines of like just an outdated mentality. It's like, well, you pick your career and that's like what you stick to, and then that's it. It's just like, no, like you can like dip your toes into like everything that you're interested in.
Totally.
Like, and see what you like. So that's really, really cool.
Yeah, thanks.
Do you have any ideas for like screenplays or anything?
I don't have any ideas for specific ones, but I definitely would want to make, I don't know, something along the lines of True Detective, like something crime related, but also fiction. So pulling in fictional elements. I don't know. True Detective is like that. Stranger Things is like that.
Yeah.
Something in that vein that's a little creepy. And then I'd love to make a horror movie someday.
That would be cool.
Yeah. It's interesting. So if like horror films, there's this guy named Jason Blumhouse, and he has a studio called Blum. You know, do you know them? Yeah.
Blumhouse.
And like they just have that interesting model of like they pump like $3 million into a movie, and horror movies always make like $5 to $10 million in theaters. Well, this was pre-pandemic. And so it's like interesting. They just have a formula, you know? And I think they made, what else did they make? Get Out, and they made a bunch of other like paranormal and
Blumhouse, didn't they do like, they
done
didn't do
so
The
many.
Purge or anything.
They did The Purge.
The Purge. And then there was like
It's
Happy
like-
Death Day.
Yeah, it's
and
like all of those horror movies that you think of that pop up in the theater. That's all.
Yeah.
It's almost all Blumhouse.
Because there's like, Blumhouse does like a very specific like type of horror. And then there's another company, I don't know who, but they do like the other movies that are also like dominating the horror world, which are like Insidious and The Conjuring and like all that stuff.
There's like the other company who does those.
Yeah. But it's really just them that you have been seeing like primarily like pop up a lot.
Yeah. I think it'd be cool, not because I like horror movies. I actually don't.
I was going to ask like.
Yeah, I don't even like horror
interesting.
movies. I just think it would be. It's just more interesting from a business perspective, I guess, you know, almost, you know,
That's
like that.
interesting.
Because it's like apparently it's like women aged 20 to 35 are the demographic that they're going after. And like they drag their boyfriends or husbands or whatever and like families to go watch these movies. And so like that's how they know they get a guaranteed like $10 million or whatever it is. So,
Oh yeah, because you really are like hitting a much like larger demographic.
yeah.
That's in
And they're just diehard. Like if there's a horror movie, they're gonna go see it. So,
That's cool. You know what you should go do if you haven't already is Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios.
Oh, I haven't done that.
It's so fun. I would
sounds
go.
fun.
I went every year for like 3 or 4 years straight, and then we didn't go during COVID. But they have a lot of Blumhouse does like a whole thing. Like they have like The Purge, and they had like some other stuff where it's just like Blumhouse mazes. And I don't know, like if you like it, like it's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll have to go check it out. That sounds amazing.
I don't know if you like being scared, but
I don't know either. I haven't done that in person, so I feel like I'd be freaked out. I'm not like
it's scary.
super brave or anything. Like I get freaked out after I watch horror movies. I have to watch Sweet Life of Zack and Cody for like an hour just to.
That's your like that's what
myself
gets
up.
you down, like calms you.
Yeah, I have to watch some Disney Channel something or like a Disney Channel original movie, like something just very good, you know.
I'm
like,
the same way. If I watch something scary or intense, I need something to like bring me down.
Yeah.
But that's funny that you choose Disney Channel, because that's
that's
perfect.
my go-to. That's like the innocent childhood kind of stuff. You know?
Totally. But if you go in a group and if you go with like people, it's so much fun and it's a good time. So
Yeah.
It's cool.
How about movies? Like, what are some of your favorite movies?
I really like the director Edgar Wright because he creates movies that are very like almost like video game-y, and like they're shot very interestingly.
What has he made?
He made Baby Driver and Scott Pilgrim versus the World, which are two of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
And then he made Last Night in Soho.
I haven't seen that.
Oh, we didn't talk about her, but Anya Taylor-Joy. She's in
Queen's Gambit.
Queen's Gambit. That's like one of my favorite shows of all time. I love
that.
That
was
show.
like the show of last year.
Oh yeah, for sure. I got like I played chess when I was a kid and then I stopped playing and I was like fully invested. I was like, chess can be cool now. Like I'm gonna play it. Yeah.
Have you played with Tyler since then?
I haven't played. I play a lot, but
play.
I haven't played with Tyler.
Okay.
Tyler has asked me several times to play and I always deny his advances because I'm afraid of him because I know he's good and I'm like, I don't want you to humiliate me.
He kicks my ass. We should play. We're probably like similar level. You're probably better than I am.
Okay.
I just kind
I'm
of move pieces
so
around.
down.
Yeah.
That's so sick.
So you can destroy me and feel good about it.
Okay. Hell yeah. But yeah, so he makes a lot of like really weird, like almost like video gamey type movies. I like those movies. I also like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Have you seen that movie?
Mm-mm.
That one's really interesting. It's very like, I'm realizing that a lot of movies I like are like kind of like trippy. Like, I don't know, they kind of take your mind on like an adventure. I also like classic comedies, and I think that has to do with just like a comfort thing. Like one of my favorite movies is The Wayne's World. I love Wayne's World, and I love just like feel good like comedies and stuff like that. I don't really like horror too much. And then I don't like dramas or like serious movies because I'm so like sensitive and I'll cry at every movie and I'm like, I don't want to be sad today, so I'm not going to watch this. And I don't like adventure movies or anything like that, or like superhero movies. I have some of my favorites, like Tobey Maguire Spider-Man's, and like I like the Batman series with like Batman Begins and like Dark Knight. Like those are like you can't not like those. They're so good. But I stopped liking superhero movies when it became very like the Avengers and like the comic like the comic book style stuff. Like I don't think it's bad. It's just not what I have been able to like really get into. Yeah. But I did see the last Spider-Man and that was amazing because it was so incredible. Yeah. Very nostalgic for sure.
And Toby was in it.
And I love Andrew Garfield. So it was just really cute. I'm like, the writers truly know like what we needed and just we're like, here you go. You can have it.
Cool. They were, I know it feels like the writers like were kids when those movies were coming out, you know, like they get it. They did it justice. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, I agree with you. I think some of the Marvel movies are really great, but it's also like, it's a lot, you know, it's like so much comes out from them that it's like, it can be, I don't know, just it's like, oh, another Marvel movie, you know?
Yeah. And there's so many like movies, like everyone has their own movie. And then there's like the movies where everyone's in it. And there's multiple movies.
Spin-offs.
Yeah. And I'm just, I can't keep up with all this. Like this is too much. And then I feel like if I don't know it all, then I won't. Like I like knowing, like I don't want to go into something and not like understand. So totally. Yeah. It's just, I'm way too far behind.
Yeah. Okay. We've been going for a while. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Good. Tired?
How long have you been going?
Almost 2 hours.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You should be feeling tired at this point. It's a long time. Okay, I got one last question for you.
Gotcha.
Who has been a huge influence on you? Like, what did they teach you? Can be someone you know or don't know personally.
First person who came to my mind was my mom, for sure. My mom is like, just like the most graceful, like loving person ever. She, like that I have in my life. I definitely have like outside influences or like artists that I look up to and like stuff like that. But I think that like I immediately draw a lot of like inspiration and like admiration like for like my mom and from her, because like she has always been and like instilled in us at such a young age the importance of like caring for others and like serving community and like nurturing people and like all of these things that I feel like are so, so important to me. And that like are very like reflective of my like love languages. Like, I don't know if you like know about like love languages and stuff like that, but it's like your love languages are like the ways in which you like to be loved and the ways that you like the way you like to receive love and the way you like to show love. So it's like physical touch or gift giving or like
food, right?
Acts of service, you know, that sort of thing. Exactly. And so she just is very selfless and like takes care of people. She runs like soup kitchens and like she served food for like we grew up like being really intertwined in like congregations like churches and stuff like that, and so she always was like the one serving and stuff like that, and she was very nurturing to like my brothers and I, and she's like the epitome of everything that like I like strive to be like now, and when I'm older like I want to be like it brings me a lot of joy and I feel most complete when I am like showing love to others and like taking care of others. And I think that it's all in alignment with like what I want to do in my life and like why I feel so passionate about service and stuff like that, because she's very like strong like woman, but she also like she takes care of herself, but she puts a lot of other people like right up there with her. Like she's very like selfless, and I think that's very like admirable. So she has been one of my biggest like inspirations for sure. She's so cool and she's so pretty and like she's so sweet and like she's just like my bestie. So yeah, I definitely want to be like her when I'm like a real adult.
Yeah, I can see how she's rubbed off on you.
Yeah.
You know, like she sounds like
Thanks.
a super loving person, and that's so cool that the person that influenced you is your mom. Yeah, huge blessing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I cherish her a lot. I don't take it for granted, but yeah.
Cool. We'll leave it on that. Thank you so much. We've gone for almost, I think it's been over 2 hours.
I'm so sorry.
But no, it's great. I just don't want to hold you here all day. And no, but you were fantastic. And yeah, thanks so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. Thanks for asking me.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Awesome.
Cool.